Hello, my name is Crystal Roberts, and today I will be presenting the challenges of being an exchange student in Mozambique. The agenda of this presentation will take us through the topics of verbal and nonverbal communication, culture shock, how to be an effective listener in Mozambique, the economy growth in Mozambique, governmental issues that the population faces, what types of small groups you can join, and what to be prepared for in terms of social acceptance. As an exchange student arriving in Mozambique, I expect to encounter communicational challenges and a high level of culture shock. I hope that over time, I will be able to overcome these challenges and look forward to learning the Mozambican culture and how they live daily in a poor country with governmental challenges. There are different languages in Mozambique. Different parts of Mozambique speak different languages, but the most prominent are Emakua, Ilomwe, and Sayo. Portuguese is the official language, but it is barely spoken by anyone in Mozambique. There are several differences in the way body language is viewed in Mozambique versus the US. Left-hand usage is prohibited. Never use your left hand to shake hands, salute, or even write someone's name using your left hand. It must be hard for people that are left-handed to overcome these simple tasks because they do not excuse using the left hand for people that are left-handed. Mozambicans need personal space. It is considered rude for people to be close to them while talking. An arm's length is an appropriate distance to keep while talking. I like this because it makes me uncomfortable when people get too close to me while talking. Eye contact is considered a threat. While talking, do not mean eye contact for a long period of time. You should look away periodically while talking. This is somewhat strange to me because it is normally considered strange or rude if someone doesn't maintain eye contact while talking with someone. Never point with your fingers. This makes me feel happy because I do not like when people point at me while talking. Even if it is not meant in a rude way, I still feel like it's a threatening gesture to point at someone with your finger. In Mozambique, you can point with your chin in lieu of your finger. Using thumbs up and down repeatedly are also considered insulting in Mozambique. This is strange because thumbs up and down mean good in the US. The only difference is that we don't repeatedly motion up and down. A hand gesture that is considered vulgar is to make the A-OK hand gesture. This is viewed as someone using the middle finger in the US. Mozambique is considered to have a collectivist culture. I can really see why, because large amounts of people are living together in groups because so many are being displaced. They all must work together to get food and survive. Mozambicans are friendly, welcoming, generous, and hospitable people. I feel I would fit in well with their types of personalities because I am also this way. I also think it would be easy for me to make friends because I can change the way I speak to fit in with different groups of people. If I need to be more submissive in a conversation, I can be. And if I need to lead a conversation, I can do that too. Mozambicans are also easygoing and calm, which helps because they won't let things get to them that aren't of importance. I feel like this is where the song "Don't Worry, Be Happy" came from. I can hear this playing in my head while presenting this slide. My favorite thing to do when I am not working or in school is to spend time with my family. This is another trait that I share with the Mozambican people. They enjoy being with their close friends and family. I can say I don't blame them because there is nothing better than surrounding yourself with positive energy and the people you love. Mozambique is a very poor country. It is considered one of the poorest countries in the world. There are large groups of people living in communities that have tents and huts for homes. Some people don't even have a home to go to. This would make me very sad to see children and people suffering because they don't have the necessities such as food and clean water to drink. I think this would be one of the hardest things that I would have to adapt to, second to the language barrier. In my luggage, I had to bring an adapter for my power cords. Upon researching things to bring on this adventure, I found that the standard electric 220 volts. We do have 220 voltage power in the US, but it is not the most common power that we use. Most of our outlets are equipped for use of 120 volts. Mozambicans have to be careful when working on their electric, if they are even blessed to have this luxury, because it is very easy to shock and severely injure yourself with this much voltage. Another thing that I find interesting and a little strange about the Mozambique culture is that they have witch doctors. The only time that I have heard of a witch doctor was in a song. Mozambicans have witch doctor ceremonies to ward off evil spirits and bring the community good fortune. They usually have a sacrificial animal during the ceremony to rebuke any sins that were committed by the tribe. Mozambicans prefer to use indirect communication when communicating with others. While using indirect communication, they use different hand gestures to signify different things. An example of this is by saying "Psst" to get someone's attention rather than saying "hey you" or "excuse me." "Hey you" sounds rather rude to me and would be quite off-putting here in America. And because Mozambicans are aiming to not offend the person they are talking to, this is why they prefer to use hand gestures. A couple more examples would be to rub their forefingers together when referring to a monetary transaction and using their finger to motion "come here." Mozambicans are brutally honest about somebody's appearance. It is interesting to me that they aim to please, but find it okay to point out a person's flaws. This would take some getting used to for myself. I would probably just not comment if I was around someone that was commenting negatively about someone's appearance, but engage if they were giving someone a compliment. I do not like to make anyone feel bad about themselves, but maybe here in Mozambique, it is not considered an insult, but rather constructive criticism. When a Mozambican is in a conversation about business or school, they would not be honest if they were not able to meet a deadline on time because they do not want to let the person down that they are talking to. Mozambicans do not like confrontation. People let off certain body language signals when they are feeling uncomfortable or distressed about a situation. Even if they are saying one thing, their body language could be saying something different. Listening to body language is very important in Mozambique because they might not always be truthful. Mozambique's economy is growing, but at a slow rate. Most of the economic growth is focused on the agricultural industry. This is also the profession of most Mozambicans. I do enjoy gardening and farming, but I am not sure if I would like to do this for my job. Being outside in the elements all the time seems like it would take some getting used to. In recent years, Mozambicans have been offered credit to improve the production of their farms. They can purchase machinery and equipment on credit to make crops easier to harvest and plant. More than half of the population in Mozambique lives in rural areas. This gives them the opportunity to be able to plant and harvest their own crops to save money and still be able to provide for their family. I would find this very different from America because I would just drive to the store and buy my own produce and food. Unfortunately, there were some disasters that happened 3 consecutive years in a row that slowed the economic growth in Mozambique. Cyclone Idai hit South America in 2019, then the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, and finally Cyclone Eloise in 2021. This has damaged many homes and crops that the Mozambicans depended on to live and thrive. But because they have a collectivist mindset, they all work together to rebuild their communities. The economy is still on an upward trend after all of these disasters, but it is unknown what the next day will bring. This will cause a lot of uncertainty to the people of Mozambique that will affect decision-making for their communities. Not only do Mozambicans have to worry about Mother Nature affecting their ability to survive, they also have to worry about their government. Mozambique uses the same branches of government as the US and also have a democratic government. The government is being threatened by the integration of ISIS in their state. The people have to worry about security agencies making them disappear for publicly voicing their concerns about humanitarian issues or other problems they may be facing. People are not able to practice their own right to express themselves in fear of being killed or kidnapped. This is very different from the US, where we exercise our rights publicly by protesting. Some protesting is even done right here outside of the White House. ISIS and other terrorist groups are not prominent here in the US. I am sure they exist here, but they are not powerful enough to overthrow our governmental agencies and take control. Some of the political challenges that Mozambicans face are having a government that is not strong enough to overpower ISIS and other armed security agencies. The government has strict anti-corruption laws, but since it is weak, they are unable to enforce these laws like they should. The corruption in the governmental agencies allows for ISIS and other terrorist groups to prevail and take over areas of the state. This corruption is due to lack of oversight by the National Assembly. The National Assembly is a judicial system that focuses more on politics than law, and because the corruption is starting at the top, the politicians seem to be the ones calling the shots. Instead of politicians focusing on humanitarian issues, they are focusing on taking bribes from terrorist agencies. Tons of people in Mozambique have become displaced due to terrorists taking over and having to flee their communities for fear of their lives being taken. They travel on boats with several other people, taking only what they can fit on the boat and having to start over in a new place. They are faced with nowhere to live and having to wait in lines for food and other items to help them get by. I could never imagine living a life like this and having to run away from everything I know to survive. I am not surprised that Mozambicans have such lively activities such as music and dancing. These activities take them to a happy place that drown out the uncertainties around them. I would enjoy learning these new dances and types of music here in Mozambique. The Tufo dance is a popular dance that is performed at festivals and on holidays. It is performed by women and is of Arabic origin. The most common musical instruments would be anything that can be man-made. Mozambicans do not have a lot of money to purchase instruments, so they rely on objects surrounded by them to make music. The most popular religious groups are Catholics and Muslims. I would be part of the Catholic religion because that is what I practice here in the US. Now we are to my favorite slide of this presentation, food. I am a big foodie and love to try new types of foods. Mozambicans rely on things that they can catch because they don't have grocery stores like us here in the US. They have street markets where locals can sell what they have obtained. The spices that Mozambicans use remind me of the same spices from India. They use a lot of curries and pepper sauces. The most popular sauce that they use on a lot of their foods is called peri peri. It is made from the Malagueta pepper and the heat is very hot. It has a garlicky, sweet, tangy, and acidic taste. This sauce is used to make chicken peri peri and is also on shrimp. The peri peri pepper actually came from America and was brought to Spain and Portugal in the Christopher Columbus days. But Portuguese people didn't really like the taste of the pepper and it was brought to Brazil by traders. I would love to try the different spices and foods in Mozambique. I really like curry and pepper spices and would love to try them, make them in my own sauce at home. I hope you enjoyed my presentation on the challenges of integrating into the Mozambican culture. Thank you for watching.